Hi there, this is Adam Pascal. I am here at Broadway.com, sitting in the hot seat, and I'm here to answer all of your questions. Be kind. Probably the night that Elton John got up and walked out of the performance. I think that was probably my favorite memory because it was so startling. The music at that point was being played on a pre-recorded, canned music track, and Elton never liked that, and he repeatedly told the production that he wanted the band to be playing live during that section. And so he came to one of the previews, and for whatever reason his note was not implemented, and he heard the canned track being played and he got up and he walked out. Now, when Elton gets up and walks out of a production, it's not just Elton getting up and walking out, it's Elton and his entire entourage of people. In his defense, he came to my dressing room the next night and also went to Heather's dressing room and Sherry's dressing room, and he personally apologized for his boorish behavior, and I thought that was really, really classy of him. It's amazing. It's strangely familiar and oddly unfamiliar. You know, it's been many years since I've been there, and so there's definitely a sense of nostalgia and a sense of home, if you will. But it's like I said, it's many years later. It's all new people, new production. The alley has been painted over, and all of the signatures that were all over the walls are now gone. So it feels wonderfully new and exciting in a really great way. Without going into too many graphic details, I can tell you that I had a bit of a stomach problem during one of my performances of Rent. And not being able to leave the stage caused me to have to do something that I would have rather have done off stage, but was forced to do on stage. Luckily, there was nobody around me when it happened, and I was very quickly allowed to leave the stage and take care of myself and return fresh and clean and ready to perform. That's actually a really great question. I've asked myself that question as well. And I don't have an answer. You know, I never considered doing musical theater before Rent came along because it never occurred to me as a career path that I could pursue. I don't know if it would have occurred to me without having done Rent. You know, it's really hard to say. I don't know what the landscape of Broadway would look like had Rent not come along. So the inspiration to pursue a Broadway career may not have ever appeared. So it's a really hard question to answer. So I'm sorry, I don't know. Gabe wants to know who I'd like to reunite with on stage. I would love to work with Jesse Martin again. Jesse's one of my best friends, and you know, I would love the opportunity to work with him again. I haven't seen him in many years, and so even for no other reason than just to be able to get to spend time with him, which we haven't gotten a chance to do in a really long time. So definitely Jesse. People are always a little bit disappointed when they ask me questions about Jonathan because they are dismayed to find out the reality of the fact that I only knew Jonathan for about 6 weeks. I was cast in December of 1995, and Jonathan died at the end of January of '96. So I didn't really know him for that long. The only memories that I have of him, for the most part, are in the rehearsal room, where he was very quiet and reserved and sort of took a back seat to the rehearsal process and allowed Michael Greif and Tim Wilde to kind of run the show. So, but I do remember sharing some great meals with him and having a snowball fight with him during one of the many blizzards that winter with he and I and Daphne and Anthony. So I wish I could have had more experiences like that, but there weren't many. I didn't sing to my kids when they were little too much. They didn't like it. They used to cry when I would sing to them. And then as they got a little bit older, they equated my singing with something that took me away from home. So it wasn't something that they were particularly interested in hearing. They didn't want me to play instruments. They didn't want me to sing. All of that they connected with Daddy being gone. And so they weren't particularly interested in the sounds of my voice. That's a good question. It's much easier to pick the worst person than it is to pick the best. I would probably say Anthony Rapp. He was always a resourceful person and a very optimistic person. So I think Anthony would be the kind of person that would be somebody that would not crack under the pressure and would maintain a sort of even sense of resolve. Kira asks, what's my favorite song from the 70s? She's a big fan of 70s music, so am I, and to pick one song that's my favorite is really difficult. I can tell you that I just heard one of my favorites yesterday, which is Baker Street by Jerry Rafferty. And a lot of people go, well, hey, what's that? And then I go, and then they go, oh yeah, I love that song. So that's called Baker Street, for those of you who don't know. And I don't necessarily wish it was in the show. I can't possibly think of where we would put it. But that's definitely in my top 10. I want to thank you all for your wonderful questions. I hope I gave you the answers you were looking for. Please come see us in Disaster. It's a blast. You will have a great time, I promise.